Hello, my name is Danang Geraldivigio and I will explain the reason why Amnesty International, or we call API, claim that Indonesia is suppressing free speech through repeated crackdowns on public protest. First, this issue has drawn global attention and raised concern about democratic values, human rights, and international image. Amnesty International states that Indonesian authorities have been increasingly restricting freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. The report highlights how police force often respond to demonstration with intimidation, excessive force, and mass arrest. These actions are seen as violation of both international human rights standards and Indonesian own constitutional guarantees. And in this video, I will summarize Amnesty findings and explain why the issues matter globally and analyze it from a public relation international perspective. Okay, one is peaceful demonstration, especially those involving student, labor unions, environmental groups, and political activities, have been dispersed forcefully by the police. Amnesty report the use of tear gas, water cannons, and physical violence. Many protesters have been detained without clear legal basis. AP expresses concern that these arrests are intended to discourage public criticism of government policies. Reporters covering protests face pressure, threats, and restriction. Activists who speak out publicly, including online, are monitored or considered by authorities. AP reports cases where online oppression, including social media criticism, has been targeted under board and vague laws related to defamation or public order. Indonesia is now as one of the world's largest democracies. Crackdowns challenge that image in the eyes of the global. Countries often consider human rights performance when forming diplomatic, economic, and strategic partnerships.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Febriana. Today I will give a simple 3-minute summary of the analysis about how international media reported Indonesia's decision to refuse visas for Israeli athletes. In October 2025, Indonesia did not give visas to Israeli gymnasts who were supposed to compete in a world championship in Jakarta. Because of this, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, told all global sport federations not to hold events in Indonesia until the country could guarantee that all athletes will be treated equally. This became international big because it involved two important issues: Indonesia political stand supporting Palestine and the Olympic rule that sport should not discriminate against anyone. The situation also affected Indonesia's image, especially since the country hopes to host major sports events in the future. The paper used simple semiotic ideas from Ronald Barthes and representation theory from Stuart Hall. The main point is that media do not just report facts, they also create meaning. Words used the readers such a ban or refusal sound strong and give an impression that Indonesia broke global rules. The way readers structure the article makes Indonesia look like a country being warned by a powerful global organization. Other media had different views. BBC confused more on the support rule violation, while Al Jazeera explained Indonesia political reason more clearly. This shows that each media outlet frames a story differently. In conclusion, the analysis showed that international news is not fully neutral. The choice of words, image, and tone can shape how the world sees Indonesia. This case reminds us to read news carefully and understand that every story is framed in a certain way. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Narika Rusan Saputra. This video explains how international media, particularly the Associated Press, news report on freedom of expression issue in Indonesia. In today's era of globalization, even in one country can quickly gain international attention, shaping global perception of that nation. News, a highly credible global news agency, published a report titled Amnesty International say Indonesia suppresses free speech which crackdown on public protest on 29 April 2025. The article highlights Amnesty International findings regarding restriction on free speech, excessive use of force during protests, intimidation towards journalists and activists, and the use of surveillance technologies in Indonesia. Content analysis of the article saw several key points. First, the news emphasized civil liberty violation, framing the government as a suppressive actor while portraying civil society as victim. Second, the primary source is Amnesty International, without, without direct response from the international government, resulting in a one-sided narrative. Third, word choice such a crackdown, suppress, and excessive force reinforce negative framing toward authorities. Fourth, the inclusion of quantitative data, such as the number of arrests and injuries, strengthens the article's sense of urgency and objectivity. In conclusion, international media do more than inform. They, they construct reality and influence global perception. Avenues choice in framing, language, and sourcing set Indonesia image as a country facing serious challenge in protecting freedom of expression. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ray Septian and I will present my analysis on how the media, the diplomat framed the WU's high-speed rail project. I'm analyzed the article titled Indonesia High-Speed Rail Project, a Financial Time Bomb. In this article, I using Robert Altman framing theory and I found four key points. First, defining the problem. The media did not frame WUS as a symbol of progress. Instead, they explicitly defined it as a financial time bomb and a crisis for the state budget. Second, diagnosing causes. They identified the main cause as the massive $1.2 billion cost overrun. This was made worse by relying on new debt from China with high interest rates. Third, moral judgment. The article portrays Indonesians as the victim who must bear the loss. Meanwhile, China is framed as the beneficiary profiting from the high interest. Fourth, suggests the remedy. The article serves as a cautionary tale. It warns other countries to be very careful when accepting infrastructure loans from China. In conclusion, Indonesian nation branding failed here. The global image of WUS is not about modernization, but about financial risk and debt traps. And thank you, everyone.
Okay, my name is Hoirul Hafiz. I am in this short presentation. I will discuss how international media, specifically CNN International, reported on Indonesia effort in green energy transition. Alright, introducing international media plays an important role in shaping how a country is viewed by the world. Through global news convergence, national achievement, challenge, and policies become known internationally. Indonesia, as a larger archipelagic country with rich natural resources and dynamic social and political developments, is often highlighted by international outlets. One of the major media organizations that frequently report on Indonesia is CNN International, known worldwide as a trusted source of global news. CNN report on Indonesia on Juni 5 years to 2004, CNN Indonesia released a report titled Indonesia leads Southeast Asia Green Energy Transition. In this report, CNN highlighted Indonesia efforts to reduce its dependence on coal and increase the use of renewable energy, such as solar power. The report included on-site convergence from the Daeng Geothermal power plant in Central Java, along with an exclusive interview with Indonesia Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources. The minister explained Indonesia's long-term goal of achieving net zero emission by CNN. Also, has cited Indonesia's role as the host of ASEAN Energy Forum 2024, where regional leaders gather to discuss collaborative strategies for a greener future. In solution, CNN International's report show that Indonesia is gaining global recognition for its environmental initiatives and leadership in renewable energy. This strengthens Indonesia's international reputation and reflects the country's communication to sustainable future. To maintain this positive momentum, and the Indonesia government should continue collaboration with international media to highlight the national progress across various sectors. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Nazha Suci. In this video, I will explain the paper I have worked on titled Analysis of International Coverage in the Collapse of Islamic Boarding School Building in Sidoarjo, a case study of The Guardian coverage. The international coverage by The Guardian citing Associated Press illustration how global media frames the collapse of the Islamic boarding school building in Sidoarjo as both a humanitarian disaster and a failure to structural oversight. The report highlights not only the tragic loss of young student lives, but also the broader systemic issues related to construction safety, building supervision, and institutional responsibility in Indonesia. The content analysis reveals that the new article emphasized factual accuracy through the detailed reporting on casualty number, evacuation effort, and preliminary investigation by focusing on official statements from the police, BN7PB, and other risks. The coverage presents the event as a serious public safety incident grounded in variable data. Meanwhile, the semiotic analysis showed the article language and visual elements such as image of rescue team. Working toward rubble served as powerful symbol of both human suffering and structural negligence. Design create emotional impact and encourage readers to reflect on the importance of safety, vigilance, and accountability. Furthermore, the Guardian use of material from AP demonstrates how global journalistic networks operate, where local events can quickly gain international attention. This interconnected system of information flow contributes to shaping how a country is perceived of the world stage. In this case, Indonesian public safety standard and legality enforcement become part of the global narrative affecting the country's reputation. From an international public relations perspective, this case shows that local tragedies can escalate into global reputation challenge where coverage by major media outlets. Institutions must therefore be prepared with transparent, empathic, and timeless crisis communication strategies. Effective crisis communication not only addresses the intimate situation but also plays a key role in maintaining public trust and protecting a nation's or organized long-term image. Ultimately, the coverage of this tragedy served as a reminder that global media play a critical role in shaping public opinion and international perception for PR protection. Student and government institutions, this case, highlight the importance of responsible communication, strong regulatory system, and ethical crisis management in building and sustaining a positive reputation in international shape.